That meeting's adjourned, but we'd like to start another. Bobbie Bryant from the League of Cities that's doing their strategic plan. She's come today to do an update, give us kind of an update on what's going on. Some of you probably don't know about it, and some does. I see a few that was on the original committee. Anyway, Bobbie, if you're ready, sure, you can come up and do your thing.
All right. If any of you are, I don't know, there are some of you that I don't know, are you familiar, is everybody familiar with the work that we've been doing on a strategic plan for the city? If you are, please let me know. Yes. Okay. We had a public meeting in October, and we had probably around, I don't know, 80 to 100 people that showed up. It was really a great crowd. And we got some really good feedback and really good information. And the documents that I have today, I don't have enough of because I think there's about 18 of you here. So I'm going to pass these out, but I need for you to share them with each other because I wasn't expecting quite this many. So I'm glad you're here. Let me just, you all can just sort of share with each other. We're going to have a completed strategic plan that will have photos and maps and some other things. You may want to maybe you can share behind you. I'm afraid I'm not going to have enough to share. All right. I'm going to ask you questions for you. All right, I'm going to talk through some of this. It's hard if you were not at the public meeting. Some of this may really startle you because some of the comments that came out of the sessions were, really, I thought, just terrific. You all have a very passionate community. People care very, very deeply just about so many different aspects of the community. The first part of this is just your county's history. It's material that you're familiar with. I picked up a lot of it from Mr. House's writings, and really, I was telling the mayor earlier, I thoroughly enjoyed studying more about Clay County's history and Manchester's history. The first 7 pages are pretty much just a repeat of what happened at that public meeting, the comments that came out, what citizens said. Pages 4, 5, 6, and 7 is exactly what came out at that meeting. This has not been changed in any way. These are the comments that your citizens said. And this strategic plan is being built upon those comments. Page 8, and the page numbers, by the way, on most of these are in the top left corner as we turn through. We base our community development work on core values of the community. When we hear what your residents say, from that we glean what your residents feel are valued. What do you value about your community? And the things that we heard really resonate, that you all really have an awareness, a real self-awareness of where you stand as a community, not just regionally, locally, but regionally and even nationally. Your pride in your local youth and your education system is very strong. You also have a very creative culture. It sort of goes to the monkey dumpling and the storytelling and the arts and the murals. I mean, you all have a lot of true development of culture, creative culture. And then the one thing that really resonated, not only with the conversation we had that night, but by some examples that we knew about, that your community is a very strong, has a very strong faith-based sense of being. And then the last piece is your natural resources. You really have an appreciation for where you live. I mean, what a beautiful place that you have, and just natural resources. So pages 9 and 10 of this document, again, are the things that the citizens said they could see in their future. These are the things that the people that attended that meeting talked about. So based upon those first 10 pages of this is what we heard you say and this is what we heard you envision, we have built some recommendations and strategies around what we heard. And as we develop those plans, the biggest thing that excites us, I think, as contractors or consultants is that you all are already doing great stuff. I mean, there are so many good things already taking place here that you have real opportunity just to build from there. The one thing that, as Tad and I talked about the recommendations for your group, is that we've got to get you guys to think big. You've got to pull yourselves out of this self-doubt. And we want to help you do that in any way that we can, but it's got to happen from you guys. And we had a real sense of that at the public meeting. I think people do have a real sense of pride about where you're from and the things that you have to offer here. But it's almost like a sense of self-confidence, a community's self-confidence. And we've got to get you guys on the upside of that and help you to feel that you can do some of these really big things. You have the capacity, you're doing good things. So it's a matter of believing in yourselves that the bigger things can happen for you. The challenges that we see through this are through that we've really focused on in our recommendations are the health of your community, the environment, education, local economy, and government accountability. So that's what we're going to sort of go through. And again, for those of you that were not in the meeting, you'll want to spend some time looking at those first few pages of what citizens said to really understand how we came to these recommendations. We believe that you all have the capacity here to be the healthiest community in Appalachia. It's a lofty goal. But if you will set your goals high, you'll work to achieve them. And we really want you to set those goals high. There are several steps that we've outlined in the recommendations, and again, it will be a matter of setting the goal and rallying people that can support this initiative. Getting people that think healthy and want to be healthy and would like to see everybody else be healthy. There's one county and 4 cities that are working on a health initiative, and I just want to mention this as a side note. They may be a community for you all to talk to at some point. We are doing a health initiative in Grant County. County seat is Williamstown. It's on I-75 going north towards Cincinnati. But the cities of Williamstown, Crittenden, Dry Ridge, and Corinth, 4 cities within one county, are collectively working on a health initiative to help their children and their families be healthier. So they're just a community that's working on several different aspects. Might be a good place for you all to just find out some of the things that they are doing. One of the recommendations we've made for you all is a smoke out, or trying to limit smoking. And that county has, I think almost all of their schools, most all of their properties within city and county own any government facility, everybody has banned smoking. It was a big deal for them to accomplish that, but that's one reason I mentioned that county, because they've made some really tough calls to make some of that stuff happen.
We in the city have banned smoking.
Wonderful, wonderful.
We passed the ordinance.
That's great.
And it's been no problem. But everywhere you go, feedback have left.
That's great. Well, that's wonderful. See, you're already doing the right thing, so that's really good news. So the health initiative, there are things that we've recommended, like the locally grown foods, really looking at things that are a way to establish you all as a healthy community. Page 14, the environment. We think you ought to consider being the cleanest city or community in Appalachia.
That is a lofty goal.
It is a lofty goal, but you have to start somewhere. And, you know, I think I shared with you all, the steering committee folks that are here, the first time that we met with you all, we shared with you about the Bonneville story of just picking up the garbage and what a transition that made for their town, getting rid of graffiti. Some of the bigger problems, and I noticed you all have some of this here too, are abandoned properties. That one is a little bigger of a challenge. However, there are ways for you to work on those things, and we are glad to help give you some steps that you can take to attack those bigger problems. But you got to start somewhere, and the easiest way is to have cleanup day. I mean, that's just the easiest, most simple thing. And then the bigger eyesores and the bigger problems take more steps and a little more effort, but over time you can work your way towards those. Pages 15 and 16, we really get into the jobs component. We really see you guys as self-reliant, and we think you can be even more so. We believe that you need to build on entrepreneurship. Since, I hate to use this as the one business that sort of was the catapult for it, but since when Walmart kind of came to America, having privately owned department stores and all of these independent businesses sort of went away. And we've lost that culture in our whole community, not just in Manchester, we've lost it everywhere in America, Kentucky particularly. And we don't have these, as many entrepreneurs that have independent businesses anymore. And we think that there is room for that in your community. We think that there is a lot of room for that. And so we've given you some ideas about how to build your local economy, and you guys have so many resources here. I mean, when I look at the EKU and the education system that you have here and the support that you all have, there is a huge opportunity for you all to build local business here, and we really hope that you'll study the suggestions here and make a difference with that. On the page, I guess the back side of what I was just looking at, page 15, there are two resources in particular. There's a Governor's School for Entrepreneurship, and there's also something called Awesome Inc. Those are just two. There are many more, but those are two resources for you to at least investigate to help your local people figure out how do you create jobs in your own community. Then we move to education. We're not going to give you a lot of recommendations here. You guys are doing great. I mean, it really is something that we think you'll have opportunity to build upon, but you've already got a really good start. The other thing that we were thrilled to learn about is you've got this, the reigning junior PGA champion person is from Clay County, and we really feel like you've got an opportunity to sort of exploit that. I mean, having these sports icons that can help build your tourism and to build interest in people coming here, it's a great asset that you already have. We just think continue the efforts that you're doing and sort of multiply them and grow them, because you're really off to a really good start. This is where we spent quite a bit of time as I get into governmental accountability. This is something that was, I think, you are clear-eyed when it comes to really being aware of the reputation that the community has. And Tad and I spent several hours discussing how best to approach this piece, because this was real different for us. We'd not exactly encountered some of the things that you all shared with us. But we really think that if it is something that your group and your community, and obviously it was because it was so clear in the community conversation, we think face it, go after it, and let's fix the problem. And it starts with each individual. It really does start with every person committing themselves to making a difference in accountability. We've offered some early steps that we think could be beneficial. Conducting business in the sunshine. I mean, we've all been sort of pushed into that in the last 6 or 7 years. And we really do believe that inviting that scrutiny really helps people to begin to gain more trust and to maybe not think that, oh gosh, everything is so bad. The other thing that we both felt like was really important, I don't know what all other training programs exist, but I know through KLC that we do have city officials training, and we provide ethics training. I'm sure the counties CACO, their county affiliate, also offers ethics trainings. So we really encourage our elected officials to get as much training as they can of how best to conduct business in the sunshine and to do it where that you can maintain and build trust with the local people. We also hope that as you're working with your children and the youth, that you will begin to help them see their role and how they're coming up through leadership, how they're going to impact this community going forward. And I was thinking about this driving here today. Do you all have a leadership Clay County or a leadership Manchester? Has there ever been that type of program here? I don't think we put that in here, but that may be something for you all to consider, particularly as so much of it, I think the frustration that we heard was with government, just the concerns about having government accountability and building trust back in the form of government. And particularly for young people coming through high school, having them to have an appreciation for what positions are available through government and how you operate government for the betterment of citizens. I think that could be a really strong goal for you all to set for yourselves. And then the part that we probably had the most fun with was the fact that you all are already the City of Hope, and what that really says about who you are as a community. And you already have so many great pieces in place, and one of them, as our speaker so eloquently provided for us today, you have one thing that really nobody else has got. And what a great thing to begin to see how it fits with a greater tourism picture and how to exploit that. One of the, I think, most startling pieces of conversation that came out for us during your public meeting was the comment about whatever we do, we need the biggest and the best. We need it to be the most noticed, the biggest possible. And one individual stood up and said, well, what about a Jesus statue that's up on a mountain and can be seen from everywhere? And there was a lot of enthusiasm, or at least that's what we heard that night through the conversation. So we've included that as one of your symbols of hope. It's just one, and certainly one that would have to be developed. This is one that would take more work and a lot more conversations around. But we certainly included it because it seemed to really resonate with people in the audience that night. The other pieces that we really began to pull together as sort of the symbols of hope, we love your swinging bridge, and I was so thrilled to see the brochure. Thank you very much for providing those today. You all are already ahead of us on so many of these things. You're just really on a great path. But your swinging bridges are really iconic for your community and provide you with something that's here, it's already in place, it's certainly a draw that would create an interest for people to come see you. So we really felt like that maybe as you begin to brand your community that you look at using the swinging bridge as the icon. So when we have the completed booklet to bring to you, we've actually done a little design sample. It's not something that we think we'll use, but it was just an idea to get you started on what you might come up with. So all of those icons of the bridges and your history, I mean, good Lord, you all have such wonderful history to draw upon. We had a lot of fun with your tourism piece because you all do have so many things to draw upon, and we do think that you certainly could have a very strong tourism economy here. It is something that you're going to have to work on to be ready for tourists, and I say that going back to the cleanup part. When you invite people to your community, you want your best face forward. And so we think you've got some work to do, but we do believe that you certainly have the capacity to have a tourism economy. The points to consider on pages 20, 21, and 22 is the top of the page. What do you have that no one else has? Well, my Lord, you've got the salt mines, you've got the bee school, you've got the hieroglyphs, is that the correct pronunciation? You've got the swinging bridges, and that's all before you get the Jesus statue. So you know, you've got stuff, and a lot of communities don't have stuff. They're making it up, but you all have it. And that's what's so exciting to us for you. We loved using the word hope as part of your tourism development. And we see that as that you have the hope of civilization through the stone and the carvings. You have the hope of art, your creativity of your people. You have a hope of history, my Lord, at the history that you guys have here, and the hope of nature. Each of those things are your strengths, and we want you to build toward those strengths, and we've given you some ideas of how to go about doing that. The things that we think you're going to need to really focus on are the infrastructure pieces, the stuff that maybe the visitors coming might not think about on the front end, but you certainly need to. And those are the things about how do you make your city welcoming to a stranger. How, you know, if I wasn't familiar, you know, the first time I came to Manchester, how would I have known, other than on MapQuest or, you know, Google Alert, how to get to City Hall, or, you know, how to get to the EKU building. So how can you manage your city's infrastructure to help strangers know where to go for things? We also think that you can use your downtown as the economic engine for everything to flow from here. You all already have parks and wonderful trails and things that are in motion. So if you can in some way connect everything to your downtown so that it is where people migrate and then go out from here. And that brings that vitality back to your core center. The other piece is your marketing and promotions, which you all are really doing very well with. You have wonderful websites. I valued those whenever I was just researching for my own knowledge. And I appreciate the fact that you all spend time and energy doing what you do online. It's very helpful. But you basically have two audiences. You have your local people and you have tourists. And you're going to have to appeal to both to some degree. For one to be successful, the other has to support it. But we've given you some steps and some ideas here. And then one piece that we talked about a little bit at the public meeting, but just also because we studied and did some research about your demographics in the community. We did hear at the public meeting that there is a need for affordable and market rate housing. And there are lots and buildings that maybe are underutilized or not used, and we really feel like that, you know, inventory in those and really knowing what do you have, really, really having a sense of how many square foot are we talking about, where are they located, who owns them, what kind of shape are they in, do they still have asbestos, does it have heating and air, was it put in back in 1938? I mean, knowing what you've got, having a real solid inventory of properties and knowing what kind of status they're in is really crucial, particularly for your entrepreneurial and your tourism strategies. So there's some steps there to help, excuse me, lead you down some, just to ask, you know, to work on some of these things as you go. Excuse me, I don't know where my voice is going. On page 24, how do we pay for it? That's always, everybody always wants to know, well, where are we going to get the money for that? Well, it cannot obviously all be done at once. And we really believe in small baby steps. You know, maybe the first thing you do, since you've already done wall murals and updated your swinging bridge and you've done some pretty major stuff, but, you know, maybe a cleanup day, maybe, you know, getting a batch of school kids to help do something in the community as an activity. But we really do believe that you need to get your students, the young people, middle schoolers, and high schoolers, they need to be part of this conversation. And we had a really good turnout of those students at the public meeting. And they participated. I mean, they have a real sense of what they think ought to happen in their hometown. And so we really encourage you all to reach back out to those audiences. There are some new funding sources that you may or may not heard about with crowdsourcing and Kickstarter and some of those types of online funding mechanisms, and don't take them for granted. I mean, they really have the capacity to help you do and accomplish some things. Of course, grants are out there, and we're happy to talk with you ourselves about how to go about going after some of those for the housing as well as for some of the special projects. But that last statement there on page 24, some will say this will never happen. I'm sure you've already heard that with just the work that you've started. But if somebody doesn't stand up and do something, then it's going to stay the same. And so we just really encourage you all to keep going. You've got a great start, and we believe that you have the capacity to really do great things. I think our aha for you all, and Tad and I, as I said, we spent a lot of time talking about it when we were, especially when we talked about your core values, is that we hear the pride that you all have of where you're from, but we also hear that there is a sense that you can't get over the problems that you've had with the disappointment of politicians and that type of thing. That's got to change. And for you all to overcome that is a big step. And it's going to take leaders standing up and having a positive, we're going to fix this and it's going to be better, and then showing that it is better. And we think some of the steps that we have outlined here will enable you to do that. And use every resource that you have available to you. The mayor, I know, digs around for those pretty regularly and has been very successful in finding money to get things accomplished. And I want to encourage you all, and I'm just going to lay it out real plainly. You all need to sit and think, who do I know in this community that would care about tourism? Who do I know here that cares about the economy or building jobs? Or who have I heard say that they would love to go into business if? Those are the people that you need to be talking to. And it just starts with those kinds of conversations. Like, did you know that we have a plan? Did you know that we're already doing these other things? And slowly, over time, that attitude will turn from, oh, we can't do anything, look how silly we've looked in the media, or, you know. Eventually, that will change. But it is going to take you all digging in and showing that it's better. And it starts with a small group like you all. And that's where it starts. I'm going to hush and get off my soapbox and let you all ask questions. This will be in a more finalized format. One reason that I wanted to present this to you all, we want to be sure if we have misstated anything or have called something by a name that it's not, that you get it corrected for us so we, you know, it looks like we know what we're doing and what we're saying. So I want you to take this and review it carefully when you have time, and then let me know if there's anything that needs to be adjusted. The other thing that I'd like for you to review it with is, what did we miss? Is there anything that you felt like was so important that it needs to be in this document? And I really want to be clear about that. We don't want to miss something that's extremely important that you want in here. We build our strategic planning around what people tell us, particularly in those public settings. So I don't want, you know, to change what's here in any way, because this is what people told us. However, if there is something like the mayor mentioned a while ago, a new road that I didn't know was going to be coming through, if there's anything like that that's going to adjust the community in some way that's going to really skew things, we probably need to know that. I don't think what he shared with me, I don't think is going to do that to what we have here. But that's the kind of fix that before we go public with it that we'd like to know, is there anything that we missed? All right, so what questions do you have or concerns?
One thing, in that you say salt mines, it was salt wells.
Salt wells, thank you, that's a big fix.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
And we didn't mention our deer and elk population in Clay County. We have a tremendous population of deer and elk and hunters and so on. which I don't know if that would be classified as tourism or whatever, but.
Hunting, absolutely. Okay, so salt wells is the correct statement, okay. And need to add hunting. That is a tremendous, it is a matter of fact, as part of the Trail Town. Aren't you all looking at Trail Town? That's a real big piece of the Trail Town, is how to get people into the hunt from the hunting aspect.
Somebody told me the other day they crossed the Elk Mountain Industrial Park up there, and they saw 30 elk in the field up there.
Wow.
30.
Wow.
My goodness. Are you all part of the bear? I mean, are you all included as part of the bear reunification?
This year is first year.
We were wondering the other day whose bright idea that was until we introduced them. All right. What else? What else? Just in your initial, what you heard me say and what little you've had a chance to look at this. Anything else? We have not set a date unless, Mayor, you and Mamie have come up with a date since for a public meeting.
We need to do it for the same,
Yeah.
situation.
What I'd like to do is to give you all maybe till Tuesday of next week, that's 6 days, to look at what we've presented. I know that's a short amount of time, but if you see anything that needs to be adjusted or that we've left out, like the Mayor's comment about the hunting, if you see anything that you feel like must be included, please let either the Mayor or Mamie know, and they'll let me know. Does anything in here concern you all about it before we take it to the public? Is there anything that you went, whoa? Anything? Well, we really try to build it around what we've heard, and we are very excited for you all. We think you have just such a great opportunity here. It's such a wonderfully warm community, and you all just have so many things already happening and so much opportunity. It's exciting for us to see it ahead of you.
You got a golf course in there. You got a golf course in there.
I think we did, but I'll double check. We mentioned the golf pro, so.
Swim pool and all that.
Okay.
And, riding trail at Beach Creek.
Beach Creek, over in Fire Creek, and down.
Yeah, I think what we have in there is that we see your parks as your connectors, you know, trails to each and to the town, and that's sort of your connecting routes. That's how we envision it. The finished product will have before and after, you know, images to give you an idea. If it looks like this now, this is what it could look like in the future. So there'll be some of that in here, and it'll just be a lot neater than it is right now. But I wanted you to at least have the content to see and hear. Anything else?
One thing, and you may actually have it in there because I haven't really read every single word, but you know, you were talking about the community becoming a more healthy community.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, there are a lot of runners here now, and there is a race or a 5K or something almost every month now, and that is honestly something I never thought I would see here. So I really do think that the community is on its way to becoming a more healthy community. And of course, they do use the trails, the Riverside Walking Trail, to run on and to walk in the park, and so I do think that we're headed in a healthier direction.
That's great. Good. And as I said, we use some demographic data to guide us as we made some of these recommendations. So, thank you. I really appreciate your patience today and your time to look this over. And if you would please let us know something by Tuesday of next week if you have any suggestions of anything we need to add, or if, like having the wrong way to call it, instead of the salt mine, it's the salt well. There may be, we've got Beach Road or Beach Creek and different things in there, so be sure that we have stated it correctly so that it comes out right for you all. Yes, ma'am.
Did you, I skimmed it.
Sure.
Did you have anything in there which would be tourism, like in the spring people come to see our dogwood, redbud along the highways, and in the fall they come to watch the different colors, you know, in the trees. And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Highlight parkway.
Right.
But
We didn't
anyway,
identify
no
any
idea.
specific festivals or activities of that nature, but that's certainly something that we can see how that fits
But
in.
that's a big draw.
I'm sure.
What time did you set for the next meeting Tuesday?
We have no, I don't have a meeting. I'm just saying let us know by Tuesday
Oh,
so
by
we can finish
Tuesday.
the document. We had talked, Mayor, about
When you say,
anytime.
I'm gonna say, when you say let us know, let who know? You?
Let the mayor or
Okay.
Mamie know. I'm sorry. Yeah, just let either mayor or Mamie know if there's any
Okay.
changes that need to be made by Tuesday. No later than Tuesday. Please don't wait till Tuesday at 4 o'clock. And Mayor, you'll, I guess, announce fairly soon what the next meeting date is going to
As soon as we
be.
find out, we'll-
Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thank you all very, very much.